Hi, I'm CK at CK Education, and thanks for visiting my website. Just wanted to make a video and explain a little bit about my system and answer some questions that a lot of parents have and students have about what I do. So in 2009, I started CK Education, and I've been teaching SAT prep and doing college prep consulting ever since. Now, before that, for about 15 years, I was an engineer, a salesperson, a consultant, a recruiter. And I did a lot of different things in a lot of different fields, but primarily in engineering. And I worked, my career began on the West Coast in Seattle, where I worked as an engineer and in sales and management. And then in 2001, I moved to Maryland, and I continued my career as a consultant and engineer here in the DC government. In 2007, I left my corporate job, and in 2009, I started my education company, CK Education Group LLC, and I've been teaching students in over 15 states, over 1,000 students, and over 20,000 hours of personal teaching. Almost all of the students who come to me start out with SAT prep, and this is my specialty. This is what I've become known for. And I teach every student online using Skype or Zoom. I have a year-long waiting list, and so it's best to fill out the waiting list right after ninth grade or starting of ninth grade, because it could be quite long. Some students have waited a year. Typically, it's about 3 to 6 months, but sometimes it could be 9 months, 12 months, and so it just depends on the time of year. So if you're interested in having your child do SAT prep with me, please register early. Please fill out the waiting list form early. Now, the rest of the details and so forth and fees and everything else is in the SAT prep page on my website, so please check that out. But let me just describe how I do SAT prep and how it's different from every other SAT prep tutor or learning center that's out there. So when a student comes to me, the first thing I do is, before our first class, I give them a test to take, a full-length test. It gives me a good idea of where to begin. That is how I pinpoint what the student's weakness is, and we start with the weakest section. So whether it's reading, writing, or math, we'll start with one of those three. Let's just say that math was the weakest section. Then I start by teaching the 30 most important SAT math rules. Now, here is where it's very different from every other SAT prep program. And I've learned over the years that pretty much everybody does SAT prep by going over a lot of practice problems. They assign lots and lots of problems, especially if you're going to one of these summer intensive prep programs. They assign a lot of problems. It's very labor intensive. But the problem with that is, even though you're spending a lot of time doing something, it's very possible that you're not really achieving much. And this is a problem with just doing a lot of problems, is that you may do a lot of things, but you're not really getting anywhere. It's like spinning your wheels in the mud. And the reason that happens is that if you're approaching a problem the same way, the same mindset, the same method that you're used to doing, then you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again the same way, and you're not getting any different results. So what I teach is, just as an example, in the math section, I teach the math rules that are most important and necessary and required for doing well on the SAT math section. So we first learn the rules and the concepts, and then we go to the exercises, and these exercises are the applications of these rules. And once a student goes through these exercises and gets pretty confident in the math exercises, then I move them to the testing phase of math. And so there's really this three-phase process in my system. The time test is the last phase of it. And once a student is about ready to go to the time testing phase of each section, we add on another section like writing and reading and so forth. And this continues for all three sections until the student has gotten all three sections and is in the testing phase of all three sections, at which point I will give them full-length practice tests, and I will tell them when to register for the real test. And students, I recommend that they take the test 2 consecutive times, and I am with them and I teach them step by step until they're all done with testing, okay? So this is sort of an overview of my SAT prep system. And in doing this, students understand how to take the tests in each section, what they need to know to get a higher score, and what they need to know to miss less problems on each section. I mean, this is really the key. The less you miss, of course, the higher the score. And so if you've tried everything else, if you've done other programs and they have not been successful, and if you feel like this is the right fit for your child, then please fill out the SAT prep waiting list form. And once I receive the SAT prep waiting list form, I will get in contact with you, and then we'll discuss details. So thanks again for visiting my website, and I look forward to hearing from you.